have died in the attack on a Swift Safari bus last week had been trained in the suicide missions by the ADF terrorist group. Enang noted that the deceased, identified as Isaac Matov, also known as Muzaffar, had been trained by the ADF in carrying out suicide attacks.
Remind the public that the focus of these terrorists is still on soft targets, and these are many and very difficult to defend all of them, especially restaurants, public transportation, shopping centers and markets, pedestrians, religious places, and so on. So we are therefore appealing to business owners and the public at large to support the security agencies in keeping our country safe by remaining vigilant and reporting anything that does not seem right.
And the continuous bomb attacks in Kampala, to be precise, explosives, have created threat in the business community in Uganda, which has actually posed a very big worry because of the continuous tension that is prevailing amidst the trader community. Most of those who are actually operating past a few hours, which is illegal. And Enanga noted that if you look at some of the 48 suspects that have been arrested, they are going to help the police in investigation to track down all the different terror cells across the country, to track down the people who are actually supplying these explosives, to track down the people who are actually supervising these terror attacks, to find out people who are funding the terror attacks. So the main emphasis is to see why Uganda and why this time round, why are they actually targeting Ugandans? Because many people have actually got injured due to the situation, and others have actually lost lives according to the explosives that were happening in the previous 1 to 2 weeks back. So, which shows you that the last fortnight has actually been one characterized with fear and terror, because at any one point you never know, you hear an explosive or you hear an explosion in one of the areas, in one of the suburbs of Kampala, and clearly, which is not security-wise safe for the business owners. So that is why police is actually continuously carrying on with the different investigations to track down every one of these people. The police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, said that the joint operations by the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence, as well as the internal security organization and the crime intelligence in the past 1 week since the two separate bomb attacks, have led to the arrest of 48 suspects believed to have connection to the attacks, and these are still helping in the investigations. And clearly, out of these suspects, we can actually get other suspects at the end of the day. Addressing journalists, Enanga said the arrest will help them get more information about the attack, but also a positive step in fighting the terror cell, saying that the same arrest will give them more tips on all the people involved in the bomb attacks. And police is actually trying to ensure that they follow up on what the president said, that they are going to track down all these terrorists who are posing a security threat to the nation. And remember, a security threat does not only pose threat to the lives of the people, but also to the economic development of any country, because without security, business will never prevail. I mean, I cannot work from a place which is actually filled with violence, filled with different attacks, filled with thieves, explosives, bombs, murderers. Then how sure am I and how safe am I as a person, or as let's say a business owner, to effectively carry on with my business activities? So I guess that is why police is actually carrying out the different investigations to track down all these people. In the same security press, Enanga said that suicide bombers, that the suicide bomber believed to have died in the attack on a Swift Safaris bus that was actually heading to Masaka last week, and had been trained in suicide emissions by the ADF terrorist group. That is why he had to explode with the bomb. So you've been seeing all these reports coming through. So according to the police, the man who actually died from the bus, the explosion, was the same person carrying the bomb that was supposed to kill the people in that bus. Okay, away from that, let's head to the next story from the world of business, and let's head to Kenya. Centum Investment Group is in talks to acquire 3 Kenyan companies. The Centum Investment Group said it is in advanced talks to acquire 3 undisclosed Kenyan companies month after making a string of exits out of business. More of the details.
Centum Capital Partners, a wholly owned and independently managed subsidiary of Centum Group, said it plans to invest up to $5 billion over the next 5 years in diverse sectors of the economy. Centum has in the past acquired significant stakes in firms operating in diverse sectors, including financial services, fast-moving goods, manufacturing, energy, education, and technology. Several distressed Kenyan firms in the COVID-19 hit travel, entertainment, energy, and financial sectors could be snapped up by private equity funds eyeing quick bargains. Japanese law firm Anderson Mori and Thomas Tune said earlier, coronavirus fueled lockdowns and major shift toward working from home have hit many Kenyan firms hard, leading to massive layoffs and shutdowns. Distressed companies are often seen as attractive acquisition targets. Their stock and date often trade at prices reflecting difficulties they face and may be under pressure to sell assets, business, or securities quickly to raise capital or pay down debt. Centum Investment Group posted the first full year loss in over 42 years. In the financial year ended March 2021, weighed down by a drop of sales and investment income that failed to stop it from paying dividends. The loss was a drop from 4.63 billion shillings net profit posted in the preceding financial year. The loss came on the back of its trading business, 2 Rivers Development Group and investment businesses all posting operating losses. Centum recently shut down its shared services division as part of its cost-cutting plan, which will see staff members sent home.
And if you could look at the situation, Centum Investment Group posted the first full year loss in over 42 years. In the financial year ended March 2021, weighed down by a drop in sales and investment income that failed to stop it from paying dividends. The loss was a drop from 4.63 billion shillings net profit posted in the preceding financial year. The loss further came on the back of its trading business, with the 2 Rivers Development Group and investment business all posting operating losses. Centum recently shut down its shared services service division as part of its cost-cutting plan, which will see staff members sent back home. Distressed companies are often seen as attractive acquisition targets. Their stock and debt often trade at prices reflecting the difficulties they face and may be under pressure to sell assets, businesses, or securities quickly to raise capital or pay down their debts. As you can definitely see that. Coronavirus fueled lockdowns and a major shift found working from home. And this actually brought the working from home situation hitting many Kenyan firms, which actually led to massive layoffs and shutdowns. Away from that, let's cross to Thailand. Thailand reopened to vaccinated tourists from over 60 nations. They opened room for traveling tourists, that is, foreign tourists. Tens of thousands of travelers are expected to arrive in Thailand this week as the country reopened to tourists after 18 months of COVID restrictions. Here is the story.
Tens of thousands of travelers are expected to arrive in Thailand as the country reopens to tourists after 18 months of COVID-19 restrictions. Vaccinated tourists from more than 60 low-risk nations are allowed to enter the country and avoid hotel quarantine. Tourist numbers are forecast to jump to as much as 15 million next year, bringing in more than $30 billion. However, much of the country still faces restrictions with only around 42% of the population fully vaccinated. The coronavirus pandemic hammered Thailand's economy, which would previously attract 40 million tourists a year. Last year, tourist arrivals were down more than 80%. Airports serving Bangkok and Phuket are among those opening to countries including UK, China, Japan, and the US, and most of Europe. The Thai government predicts revenues to rebound to their pre-pandemic levels by 2023, although many industry experts say China's ongoing border closures will hamper the sector's recovery. Before the pandemic, Chinese tourists made up the biggest number of tourists, with some 12 million visitors arriving from China in 2019. Meanwhile, on the popular tourist island of Phuket, the pandemic has brought the economy to a standstill.
Government predicts revenue to rebound to their pre-pandemic levels by 2023. Although many industry experts say China's ongoing border closures will hamper the sector's recovery. Airports serving Bangkok and Phuket among those opening to countries including the UK, China, Japan, the US, and most probably countries from Europe. As the coronavirus pandemic hammered Thailand's economy, which would previously attract 40 million tourists a year. Last year, tourist arrivals were down more than 80%. That was a very huge, sharp decline in the tourism sector from Thailand. And before the pandemic, Chinese tourists made up the biggest number of tourists, with some 12 million visitors arriving from China in 2019. Meanwhile, if you look at the popular tourist island of Phuket, the pandemic has brought the economy to a standstill. That is on the island of Phuket. But right now, Thailand has reopened its tourism sites and the tourism sector for the tourists after 18 months of lockdown because of travel restrictions in Thailand. And they hope that this is going to be a major boost of the rise to their economy. I'm Joram Posonko. Coming up shortly is a topical analysis. We are talking URA and IFRS. This is SMB.